When you think of a clash between global powers, you probably picture something like this: tanks storming across fields, fighter jets ripping through the sky, massive naval fleets commanding the oceans. For the better part of a century, that's been the language of global power. But the single most important conflict being fought today, the one that will define our future, isn't being fought with any of those things. It's a shadow war, waged not with bombs and bullets, but with currencies, commodities, trade deals, and technology. It's a quiet, patient battle for economic and political supremacy that is fundamentally rewiring our world, right under our noses. While the media focuses on troop movements and defense budgets, the real story, the one with much bigger consequences, is about how a new global order is being built, challenging decades of Western dominance. In this new conflict, the deadliest weapons aren't missiles, they're financial. The real fight between NATO and the expanding BRICS bloc isn't for territory. It's for the soul of the global system itself. It's an economic and political race to write the rules for the 21st century. Section 1. The Illusion of the Battlefield. To get what's happening, you have to look past the military hardware. On paper, the comparison seems lopsided. NATO is a true military alliance, and its members spend a fortune on defense. After a landmark summit in 2025, NATO countries have now pledged to target a stunning 5% of their GDP for defense and security spending by 2035. While it's a goal and not yet a reality, hitting that target could send their annual spending toward an almost unimaginable $3 to $4 trillion. Against this, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and new members like Iran, the UAE, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Indonesia, spend a combined total of around $350 billion. That's a huge gap. Plus, NATO's power isn't just about money, it's about integration. Its 32 members are bound by Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. This creates a unified fighting force that BRICS, which is mostly an economic club, just doesn't have. NATO also has the tech edge with more advanced aircraft and a navy built around unmatched carrier power. So, where's the BRICS advantage? Sheer numbers. They command a combined active military of about 6.5 million people, dwarfing NATO's 3.5 million. They also have a massive arsenal of ground equipment, including nearly 3 times as many tanks. And when it comes to the ultimate weapon, nuclear warheads, the BRICS bloc, mainly because of Russia's enormous arsenal, actually has a slight edge over NATO, with roughly 6,260 warheads to NATO's 5,500. But that nuclear balance just creates a stalemate. A full-scale war between these powers is unthinkable because victory would mean global annihilation. That stalemate is exactly what pushes the real competition into other arenas. It guarantees the real war can't be a hot one. So, if a military victory is off the table, where is this battle really being fought? Not on a field, but on the digital ledgers and balance sheets of the global economy. Section 2. The Economic Front, Waging War with Wallets. The real BRICS challenge isn't aimed at NATO's armies, but at the economic system the West built after World War II. Patiently and systematically, BRICS is building a parallel economic universe, one designed to operate outside and eventually compete with the Western-led system. First, look at the economic shift. For decades, the West had an unbeatable economic lead. Not anymore. While NATO countries are still economic giants, the expanded BRICS bloc has already, by some 2025 estimates, surpassed NATO in combined GDP, hitting over $60 trillion compared to NATO's $40 trillion. Other analyses put the blocs closer together, but everyone agrees on the trajectory. NATO economies are mature, growing at about 1 to 2.5% a year. The BRICS nations are projected to grow at 4% or more. The planet's economic center of gravity is visibly shifting. The second and most critical front is the war on the US dollar. For 80 years, the dollar has been the global economy's operating system. Nearly every major global transaction, from oil to wheat, is priced and settled in dollars. This gives America incredible power to hit other countries with sanctions that can cripple their economies. BRICS nations see this as a critical weakness. Their goal isn't to kill the dollar overnight, but to create alternatives that shield them from Washington's influence. This isn't just talk. Trade between BRICS members is increasingly being settled in their own local currencies. China and Brazil are trading in yuan and riel. India bought oil from the UAE using rupees. This is a direct shot at the dollar's supremacy. To make it work, the bloc is building new infrastructure like BRICS Pay, a payment system meant to be an alternative to SWIFT, the Western-controlled network for international banking. The third front is controlling physical resources. The recent expansion of BRICS was incredibly strategic. Bringing in countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE added some of the world's biggest energy producers. Ethiopia and Egypt bring huge populations and strategic locations in Africa. And in early 2025, Indonesia, a powerhouse in Southeast Asia, officially joined the bloc. As a result, the expanded BRICS now represents over 40% of the world's population and holds a dominant share of global energy reserves and key commodities. This gives them enormous leverage. But it's not just about building a rival economy, it's about rewriting the rules of the game. Section 3. The Political Front, a battle for a multipolar world. The current global order was designed by the winners of World War II. Institutions like the UN Security Council, the IMF, and the World Bank reflect the power dynamics of 1945. The BRICS nations argue this system is obsolete and unfair. They say a world where most of the people and economic growth are in the global south can't be run by institutions dominated by the West. Their goal is to tear down the unipolar world order and build a multipolar one, where power is spread out and more voices are heard. You can see this in the institutions they're building. The New Development Bank, or the BRICS Bank, is a direct competitor to the IMF and World Bank. It offers infrastructure loans to developing nations, often with fewer strings attached than Western institutions. It's an alternative for a developing world that often feels lectured and controlled by the West. The expansion itself is a political statement. By bringing in members from the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia, BRICS is creating a genuine political coalition of the global South. It offers a home for countries that feel left out of Western clubs and don't want to be forced to pick a side between the US and China. Finally, BRICS offers a totally different way of doing business. NATO is a rigid military alliance with binding treaties. BRICS is a more flexible, consensus-based group focused on economics and politics. This loose structure can be a weakness. Disputes between India and China, for example, can slow things down. But it's also a huge strength. It lets countries cooperate on shared interests without signing up for a rigid ideology or giving up sovereignty. This is why dozens of other nations are lining up, wanting to join or partner with the bloc. This is the bigger picture that often gets lost in the headlines. It's not about good guys versus bad guys, it's a complex, quiet realignment of global power. If you want to keep tracking this shadow war and the powerful forces reshaping our world, make sure you're subscribed. Section 4. The Implications. What does this new world order look like? So, where is this all headed? What are the consequences of this shadow war? One path leads to a world split into two competing economic and technological blocs. A new kind of Cold War, fought with supply chains and microchips instead of ideology. You could see a Western bloc using the dollar and SWIFT, and a BRICS Plus bloc using a basket of currencies and systems like BRICS Pay. Technology could split into a splinter net, where services aren't compatible. Supply chains could be rerouted to friendly countries, making everything more expensive. But there's another messier possibility, a truly multipolar world. In this future, rigid alliances fade away. Nations would act more like free agents, forming fluid partnerships based on specific interests. Brazil might work with the US on green tech while partnering with Russia on energy and China on infrastructure. India, a key member of both BRICS and the Western-aligned Quad, already plays this multi-alignment game. This world would be defined by constant deal-making and shifting loyalties, making global politics incredibly complex. But here's the key thing that could prevent a total breakdown: economic interdependence. The US is still a massive customer for BRICS nations, especially China. Europe depends on supply chains running through BRICS countries for countless essential goods. This deep entanglement is a powerful brake on open conflict. Unlike the first Cold War, where the Soviet and Western economies were mostly separate, today's rivals are also each other's biggest customers. A clean break would be economically devastating for everyone. This leads us to the biggest question of all. Can the Western-led order adapt to this new world, or will it be replaced? Is BRICS offering a genuinely better alternative? Or is it just a temporary club of nations united more by what they're against than what they're for? The battle lines of the 21st century are being drawn, but they aren't on any map. The real war between NATO and BRICS is not a contest of military might. It is a fundamental struggle over the systems that run our world, the money we use, the institutions that make the rules, and the vision for our collective future. While the headlines will keep showing you dramatic images of military hardware, the truly historic shifts are happening quietly. In finance ministries, at diplomatic summits, and in the digital code of a new global economy being built one line at a time. The 20th century world with its clear lines and hierarchies is fading. The defining question of our time isn't who has the strongest army, but who will write the code for the new global operating system. The shadow war for the future is just getting started.